Good morning and welcome everyone, wherever you're joining us from. I see Florida, Jamaica, New York, and feel
Sri
free to just
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka. Feel free to just type in the chat where you're
And also
joining
from
us
France.
from.
Oh,
France, yeah. Just type in. You just go along and type in the chat so we can see where you're joining us from. Great. Sri Lanka. Okay, great. Canada.
Yes.
Colombia, New Jersey. Great. Wonderful. All right. So at this time, I'm going to invite the founder of Global Spiritual Forum to bring greetings to us. I welcome Dr. Chandy Wardina to the floor at this time. Over to you, Doc.
Thank you, Dr. Palmer. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm fine. Thank you.
I love your background wherever you are.
I miss the Caribbean so much, so
we have the same background today.
especially in the winter, yeah. Okay, so my name is Chandi Jayawardena, and thank you for inviting me to do the welcome. I must thank a couple of people, particularly Dr. Vipula, who's our administrator in charge of webinars. So he makes things happen overall. We do a webinar every month. And also special thanks to my sister, Samanthi Dimel, who works for University of West Indies, for making this particular webinar happen and coordinating the logistics. Special thanks to Dr. Semaj. I don't know whether he remembers. About 23 years ago, I used his services as a consultant when I used to manage the Jamaica Pegasus. I had some industrial problems, and I thought I better get a well-known, respected Jamaican to come and say a few things in Patwa, convince my union and the staff, and he did a great job. I was trying to sell the idea of a moratorium or a wage freeze because of the economic problems. And the union leader, who was my friend, said, Mr. Chandi, you know that you are in Jamaica, right? No one knows this language of wage freezers. I said, okay, I have a person who can sell the idea. So you did a good job, Dr. Semaj. So nice to meet you again after 23 years. And thank you for doing this. We do a webinar every month. This is our number 10. So we are very happy. At the moment, we have 22. My estimation is there may be about another 8 soon-come people who will join us. So, it might go up to about 30. But the important thing is that our webinars sometimes are not attended very well. The maximum has been about around 100. But one particular webinar we did had about 20 or 25 attendees. And then myself and Dr. Vipula was surprised. Within 24 hours after the video clip was posted, 1,200 people have viewed it. So Vipula was surprised. He asked me, is it 1,200 or 120? I said, no, it's 1,200. I don't know whether they watched the whole thing, but they have sort of checked the video. So my point is that we may be reaching a wider circulation than the 22 people we have now. Global Spiritual Forum is very young. We started 1 year ago. We have little over 3,000 members now. I found, probably because some of our administrators' connections, majority of the membership came from hospitality and tourism and culinary arts. So 10 weeks ago, we started a sister forum. It is called Global Hospitality Forum. Now that took off like a rocket. We already have over 2,000 members there in 10 weeks. So between these two forums, we have a little over 5,000 members coming from, more impressive, over 100 countries. So we are a truly global body, and everything we do, it is free. We don't charge anyone. We don't pay anyone. We give our time. And we actually have we have 25 people who give their time. 5 of us are administrators. We have specific duties. And then we have 20 moderators. They come from another 10 countries around the world. Their job is to maintain our quality assurance system, in terms of host membership, they are empowered to do that. So it's working very well. Just to explain our key objective of the Global Spiritual Forum, our aim is to engage in debating and enhancing member appreciation of different spiritual philosophies, religions, and faiths. As well as there are 3 other areas, nature, wellness, and art. So that's what we do. And some of the posts go a little outside this box, that's okay. For example, just now we had 2 popular posts about the concept of Vesak. And a lot of our members celebrate it, but not that everybody sort of knows fully the beginning of it and why it is done and things like that. So we had a little debate, and I see a lot of comments on that. Vesak and Buddha, and why, when, where, how, and things like that. So if you have a minute, you could look at that. I think it's a popular post. If you're not a member of the Global Spiritual Forum, please consider joining. Everything is free and all are welcome. Before I hand over to our moderator today, one little announcement. I think Dr. Vipula will give more details towards the end. On the 11th of June, next month, is our next webinar. That's on psychology of meditation by a well-known medical practitioner, Dr. Ruan Jayatunga. He has amazing background, trained in Sri Lanka initially, then on a scholarship in Russia, became a doctor in Russia, then in England, and now in Canada. He practices in Canada. Interestingly, he's also an author of many books about using psychology, how the war in Sri Lanka has affected the soldiers, and very interesting writer he is. So we look forward to his next webinar on psychology of meditation. With that, thank you very much for inviting me. Over to Dr. Sandra Palmer.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Jayawardene. Excellent. So let's get right to it. So today, our topic is personal transformation, the ultimate quest. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what will be covered before I introduce our speaker for today. Know thyself and thou shalt know God is an aphorism which first appeared in Luxor in ancient Egypt. It was around long before Socrates. It also appears in the Sun Tzu Art of the War from ancient China. This is symbolized by a man with a serpent in each hand. This most ancient of wisdom has stood the test of time and has permeated all cultures. So utilizing principles of psychology, neuroscience, and quantum physics, Dr. Samad has drawn on universal wisdom traditions to distill the process down to 10 steps. Today, he shares with us, number 1, connect with the universe. Number 2, using the powers of the mind. Number 3, why are you here? Number 4, without a vision, people perish. 5, fuel your intentions and desires. 6, focus your intention and desires. 7, conscious right action leads to spontaneous right action. 8, use of the spiritual tools. 9, know when to let go. And 10, listen to your intuitions. Each day we are seeing more evidence that the only limitations we have are the ones that we accept. And applying the principles articulated in this session will help to get you one step closer to being the best version of yourself. Now, our speaker, Dr. Semaj, is the chief ideator, resultant, and founder of Above or Beyond, a management consulting firm with offices in Jamaica and Florida. He knew he had a special gift for sharing information when he won the Distinguished Teacher Award at Cornell University. With a unique ability to impact persons at all levels of education and competence, Dr. Samaj creates a participatory environment that keeps the audience fully engaged. People routinely remind him of what he said in a presentation years ago. Dr. Lewin just did that earlier, that impacted their lives. This is why he is noted among the leading motivational and keynote speakers, creative thinkers, and problem solvers in the Caribbean and South Florida. This quantum transformation psychologist combines ancient wisdom with contemporary levity to bring fresh insights to old human problems. He is a frequent presenter and facilitator for change management, leadership training, strategic planning retreats, organizational restructuring, cultural and work values alignment, work-life balance, corporate coaching, and demystifying complex concepts that impact people's lives. Dr. Samaj has worked in many sectors, including energy, hospitality, finance, gaming, telecom, security, manufacturing, education, and government. The Jamaican Employees Federation had recognized Dr. Samaj for leadership in innovative workplace practices. He's also included in Peter Ferguson's publication, Change Makers, as one of the 101 men who have helped to shape and define modern Jamaica. He holds a postdoctorate fellowship from Educational Testing Service, Princeton, New Jersey, PhD and MSc from Rutgers University and BA from City College of New York, and he's a proud graduate of Kingston College, Jamaica. It is my honor and privilege to welcome Dr. Lakem Samaj to speak to you at the Global Spiritual Forum today. Dr. Samaj, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm indeed honored and privileged to share in a context like this, as one who is constantly seeking truth to get one step closer, one step higher. I want to share my screen a moment so that we can, you see my screen? I hope so.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Great. So we can really be on the same page. Now, I'm supposed to speak for about 25 minutes. Major challenge, because this is something that occupies the central piece of my consciousness. 25 days I could do. So we really have to just synthesize it in a manner, and hopefully that it will allow people to follow and to see where we're going to go with these ideas. Yes, you can live your best life. And there are reasons why we do this. When we talk about transformation, folks, it's not about incremental change. It's about quantum shift in the way things are done. And there's a continuous connection, between the various wisdom tradition. I just thought of the issue of Paul and Saul. Here was Saul on the road to Damascus, and a bright light, and he was transformed. So indeed, that is part of my own quest. We don't need to do something, you go see a psychologist for a session a week for 10 years. No. We know it is indeed possible for transformation to take place much quicker than that. Now, this thing about self-mastery. Yes, if you notice how people have utilized this construct. Socrates, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. Plato, do thine own work. For a man to conquer himself, first noblest of all victory. But as was pointed out in the introduction, it goes beyond that. Confucius, the will to win. How we do things towards excellence. But one thing that I have synthesized, I call it the physics of life. Life is more often come to you as a series of sine waves. The typical sine wave goes up and down. You have your good days, you have your bad days. But your challenge is to convert sine waves into positive linear trends. That's the physics of life. Now, we can go all the way back with this. Yes, folks, Africa gave the world numerous things. Man, know thyself. The whole construct of the whole issue of knowing yourself and thou shalt know gods. The duality. We have seen the same iconography in Bolivia, in ancient Crete, in ancient Italy, Mesopotamia, in Greece. We see the words reoccurring elsewhere. I'm recently reading a book here now, looking at the parallels between what Lao Tzu wrote and what Jesus quoted. The question is, when did it become truth? Understanding the universality. So my role as a quantum transformation psychologist, yes, I combine psychology with neuroscience and quantum physics, because the boundaries between disciplines are quite artificial. And once we can get past that, we can see. Now, look, the good thing about science is that it is true whether you believe it or not. So, as we said, we're in an argument to do no. Yeah? Truth is truth, whether you want to believe it or not. And evidence accumulates and it gets stronger. We talk about the science of spirituality. Yes, spirituality is a kind of psychological tool we use to get ourselves into our natural state. So the boundaries are just optional. If we can start with Niels Bohr, we can't get more authentic than that, huh? What does Professor Bohr say? Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. If quantum mechanics hasn't profoundly shocked you, it's because you haven't understood it as yet. Out of nothing comes something. In fact, out of nothing comes everything. Yes, we are more than our thoughts, our body, our feelings. We're a swirling vortex of limitless potential who's here to shake things up and create something new that the universe has never seen. And there's an ongoing quest. But Steve Maraboli makes it very clear. The universe doesn't give you what you ask for with your thoughts. It gives what you demand with your action. Demand that we do something. And you know, if we take a look at the work of Jesus, all the things in the New Testament referred to as miracles, I see one common element. What did Jesus say? Do something. Commanded people to do something. The paralyzed man, take up thy bed and walk. Stretch out your hand. The widow's dead son, look, the boy dead. Young man, get up. The man with the go back home. The dead girl, get up, child. Feed of the 5,000, make the people sit in groups of 50. There's enough for everybody. Every single one. The crippled woman. What I love the one with the blind man. Look at the psychology of Jesus now. Jesus spat on the ground and made some mud and wiping the man's face with a spitter. And then he told the man, go wash your face at the pool of Siloam. You see the psychology? If he had just told the man, go thee thou and wash thy face, the man would say, but Jesus, I washed your face already since morning, you know us. But anybody who rubs spit and mud in your face, guess what you're going to do? You're going to go wash your face. So he gave them reason. Every single miracle of Jesus was just a commandment. If you want things to change, you must do something. So we see a pattern emerging. So as was outlined earlier, we see 10 steps. And given the time we have allotted, we can just briefly go through this because, as I say, this is the kind of things that I am occupied with perpetually. 10 steps. We live in really two different worlds, you know, folks. The world of ultimate reality and the world of subjective reality. But guess what? Ultimate reality is the product of subjective reality. Some of the traditional scientists won't understand this, because it's out of our subjective reality that we create what is called objective reality. We agree to agree that we would call it so. But if mind did not first create the construct, we would not have the objective constructs. We could talk about this all day. Reality is created by what you focus your attention on. Wherever you focus your perception, a personal experience takes shape. When we shift our perception, the world changes. That's what we know to be true. So we can hack our perception. Think of ultimate reality as the full spectrum of a radio frequency. Our focus is the dial that dictates the frequency that you're on. That's why we know that thoughts create reality. And by doing this, we can get so many things. So the model that I perceive, the biggest thing is called the universe. But how do we connect with the universe? When here's a body, it is through mind and spirit that we connect with the totality called the universe. And it's an ongoing process. So, step one, yes, start the connection. Believe it or not, my brothers and sisters, we have the natural ability to change the brain and the body by thought alone. The evidence is accumulated in terms of how we do this. We can make thoughts more real than anything else. We can change anything from brain cell to body tissue, just using thoughts alone. The evidence accumulates. When we talk about mind-body medicine, I constantly remind people that the trillions of cells of our bodies are constantly eavesdropping on our thoughts and emotions. Just think about it. Somebody startles you, you're frightened. Immediately blood pressure goes up and the pulse rate goes up and you start shaking. The body responds immediately just to an emotion. You're thinking about something. You listen to a piece of music and you start getting goosebumps because the connection between mind, body, emotion, so that it happens at all levels. This thing called the universe, this thing called mind. So remind us, it's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. So it's real. From quantum world, we know that everything is energy. Your thoughts begin it, your emotions amplify it, your action increase the momentum. So we're seeing a connection in how the universe moves and make these things happen, because it's indeed possible. The world called the spirit and consciousness. I'm happy to hear the next session will be on meditation. Folks, this is one of the most powerful tools that we have at our disposal, where the mind and body rewire and relearn, constantly taking place. It's the means for us to move beyond our analytical mind so that we can access the subconscious mind. This is where your bad habits and behavior that we have reside. So that unless we make this connection, meditation opens the door between the conscious and the subconscious. If you want new outcomes, you'll have to break the habit of being your old self and reinvent yourself. Meditation allows us to do that. We talk about prayer. Prayer is you talking to the universe. Meditation, you are now listening to the universe. So communication takes place. Rumi reminds us, silence is the language of God. All things else is poor translation. 1 Samuel 3 verse 9 said it another way. Speak, Lord, thy servant is listening. For me, the most important part of prayer, is just to be silent, to listen to the universe. In silence and meditation, wisdom finds you. Rumi tells us that I have been a seeker and I still am, but I stopped asking the books and the stars. I started listening to the teachings of my soul. The wisdom is within. So that's where we are. Let me, just a minute. Is the screen sharing back on?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so where we are now is that step 2 takes us to step 1, we acknowledge what the universe does, but step 2, now you acknowledge the power of our mind. Where mind leads, body follows. Our bodies are capable of anything. It's our mind that we first have to convince to get us there. One of the things I remind people about, this thing called placebo, is something that we like to dismiss. It's just a placebo effect, but guess what? Somewhere between 20 and 80% of almost every drug that's tested, the placebo provides exactly the same transformation as what the drug did with all the side effects. No? Placebos work. What do you think? You can or you can't. Henry Ford reminded us, you're right. So do not dismiss placebo. Mind does it. Mind is the transformation tool. Mind is one of the most powerful force that mankind have at its disposal. Step 3, we ask ourselves, so why are you here? What purpose do you serve here on earth? Huh? And we answer the question, hopefully in the affirmative. You were not born in this life by chance. Everyone is here for a purpose. Or if you think you're a speck of meaningless existence, I can't help you. But what I understand about the universe is that, look, there's one of you, there's one of me. There's a reason why you are here, why I am here. And I take that as a positive and I work with that. So Mark Twain tells us that the 2 most important days in your life, 1, the day you were born, and 2, the day you find out why you were born. Reasonable? But the Dalai Lama said there are only 2 days in the year that nothing can be done. One day is called yesterday. The next day is called tomorrow. So the only way you can get something done is, guess what? Today. Now, I synthesize those 2 statements and say we can live in 3 days. Because the 3 most important days of your life are 1, the day you were born. 2, the day you find out why you were born. And the 3rd, the only day we have to work with, now, today. So that's why the concept of living your dharma from the Sanskrit, or ikigai from the Japanese culture, tells us what it's all about. Can we live in this sweet spot where you combine what you love with what you're good at, what the world needs, and you get paid for it? Can we find that sweet spot why we are here so that we can now deliver as a function of why we are here, to make sure we do the will of what we're put here to do? Nelson Mandela tells us that there's no passion to be found in settling for a life that is less than the one that you're capable of living. So anyone who is not living to the fullness of their potential, no, you're shortchanging yourself, or you're shortchanging the world. You are depriving the world of that which you're put here to do. That takes us to step 4. What is your bold vision 1 year down the road? Without a vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29, verse 18. What's your vision? A year is a good time to look. So we say, define yourself by your vision of the future, or you'll be defined by your memories of the past. Where are you going? How about a 5-3-2 formation for life? 50% based on shaping the future, 30% perfecting the present, only 20% reviewing the past. You can't safely go forward by spending all your time looking through the rearview mirror. You will crash. So we're looking towards that future that you have created, you have articulated. Our capacity is way beyond any limitations you may have thought you had. If we did all the things we're capable of, we would literally astound ourselves. So we understand that. So what is this big, bold future that you're looking at? Step 5. We can say we set a 100-day goal, or we fuel our intentions and desires. What are we talking about? The law of intention and desire is very straightforward. When we introduce an intention in the fertile ground of pure potentiality, we put this infinite organizing power to work for us. Deepak Chopra has reminded us. Intention and desire. If something we take for granted, you know, look at that limit. If I just with a thought, I want to raise my hands, and just that intention sends a message straight to the rest of my body. And like magic. We have been experiencing some incredible things. Dr. Palmer yesterday astounded herself. We were discussing a project and a name popped up in the project. Immediately, she heard a notification on her phone. The very person just liked something on her Facebook page. Now she stopped being frightened by these things because we see these things so often. Just thinking it, manifesting it. When you set an intention to the universe, you conspire to give you inspiration to make it happen. That's what step 6 does. You focus the intention and desire. In other way, you can make a 1-month plan. No? So I'm giving you the spiritual and the practical. Make a 1-month plan. What you're going to do over the next month. You're focusing your intentions and desires, making it clear to the universe that which you want. Step 7. You make the best decisions each day because we only have one day to work with, and it's today. If you focus on making conscious right choices with everything you have asked to do, ultimately you evolve to the point of making spontaneous right choices. People don't realize that now is all there ever is. There's no past or future except as memory and anticipation. The mind knows nothing about any such thing. Confucius tells us, I hate to tell you, but guess what? Now is all there ever is. So can you imagine in this very moment, do that which is right, that which you know is required of you. Step 8, then start using all the spiritual tools at your disposal. All the spiritual tools. For example, you start to use the power to manifest things. Get clear on what you want, set the right intention, apply the action, show gratitude. Visualize, affirm, manifest. I've been having a serious discussion on Facebook around the issue of gratitude. And some people are very upset at that point that there is no statement of gratitude in the Jamaica's national the anthem. All about gimme, beg you this, beg you that. The universe is fueled by gratitude. And grace is the reward for gratitude. When you start by saying thanks, you get results. So what are the tools we're using? The law of attraction. What you think, you become. What you feel, you are. What you imagine, you create. The law of attraction. And we know all these pieces. I remind people, there's this wonderful passage in Job 33, verse 15. Be careful of the kind of thoughts that you put in your mind before you go to sleep at night.
Dr. Semaj, you have 5 more minutes.
Yes. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when sleep falls upon men in slumber in the bed, then he opened the ears and see that their instruction. So that I don't watch no news before I go to bed. I don't watch no movies. I meditate, and we can seal the thoughts into action. Folks, there's a biological reason for this. The reticular activating system almost acts as a secretary in the brain. Anything that you tell the brain that is important to you, the brain either bring, or should I say the mind, bring you to it or it to you. You hear things that nobody else hears. You see things that nobody else sees. Rumi reminds us life is a balance of holding on and letting go. Knowing when to do which of the two is the critical thing. That takes us to step 9. Know when to hold, know when to let go. I hear so many things to you hold on and you fight and you fight. No, it's not about just holding on and fight. The critical piece is knowing when to let go. Knowledge is learning something every day, says the Zen pro. Wisdom is letting go of something every day. You can't be taking in. I do believe that the example of the archer is perfect. The archer sets up for the kill by pulling back the bow and holding. The accuracy of the shot is determined by knowing just when to let go. For me, the letting go and the timing of the letting go is the critical element. These are the spiritual tools at our disposal. When I let go, I create a space for better things to enter my life. Think of all the things you've been trying to just hold on to.
Yeah.
And when you let go, you get to a better space. Step 10. Don't let the noise of others' opinion drown out your own inner voice. Tune into your intuition. There is the silent voice. Einstein reminds us that the intuitive mind is a sacred gift and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have a society that we have created a situation. We honor the servant and we have forgotten the gift. Your intuition. It's an advanced pattern recognition device. Your subconscious mind finds that link between your new situation and patterns from the past and gives you a way to get there. So I meditate and I ask questions for the universe. I receive answers from the universe. Sometimes we get more than answers. Sometimes we got unimagined solutions, even to the point of cosmic reorganization. Things happen, folks. So yes, these are the 10 steps that I've seen that work, starting with the connection to the universe, taking us all the way through to listen to our intuition. And by doing so, we are now able. Yes, we can. We have the natural ability to change brain and body by thought alone. We can make thoughts more real than anything else. We can change who we are from brain to genes. We can make these things happen. And in so doing, yes, we can live our best life. We do not have to settle for settling for. Wherever you are is just the point you're going to use now to get to where you need to get. You're here for a purpose. You're here for a reason. It is your responsibility to live it to the best of your ability. Yes, we can, folks. Personal transformation, that ultimate quest. Man, know thyself and know God is indeed within our grasp, and we know how to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samaj. Yes, we can. Yes, we can live our best life. Do something. Energy goes where focus goes. Listen with the heart. Know when to let go. Know when to hold back. Be silent. Shut out the noise. So much to think about, so much to ponder. I'm going to open up the floor for some questions for the next few minutes. If you have a question, I'm just going to ask you to use the platform to just raise your hand, and I will call on you, and Dr. Samaj will answer the question.
Dr. Palmer, I'm going to pick one out of the chat. I see one I want to pick right away.
Okay.
Questions are, how long do I meditate before going to bed? For me, there's a wonderful Zen proverb, that says that you should meditate for at least 20 minutes a day. Huh? But if you have a very busy day, you should meditate for 1 hour. Paradoxical but true, because you must make time for it. My day begins about 4:30, because I have to get that inner spot. It sets the tone. And the end of the day is part of the bringing it back down. And I allocate at least 20 minutes, sometimes an hour. Because if you're in the zone and you're downloading important information, you can't just turn off the system. So that's how I work.
Okay, if you feel more comfortable, you can go ahead and write your question in the chat.
I think Diana has a question.
Yes, I have a question. Experience and then question. Very good presentation, sir, which I relate to very much in my life. Because if I didn't have that impression of how we should move forward, I don't know what I would have done. But one thing I want to ask, I'm a person that gets visions. And the visions come true. I get visions warning me about certain situations. And then when I start to focus on certain things that I need to happen or people I need to link with, it happens. So I want to find out from you if that is part of what you're saying, that your brain, you're not using your brain effectively as you should, and that the brain is more powerful than we realize. Is that what you think what happens to a person like me who has these visions?
One correction, Diana.
Yeah.
Mind, not brain. Brain is hardware. Mind is the software.
Yes.
And yes, that software called mind has unlimited potential. We're not even scratching the surface. And there are times that we don't know how we know certain things, but we just start to trust the process. And things come to us in what we call them visions, because these are things that are not yet manifest. These are things that we do not know through the natural. We never heard it, we never saw it, but it is just downloaded, bam, straight into that hard drive. So we learn to trust it. And when you see the pattern, you learn by trial and error. Because, oh, but hold on, I got the warning. And remember the last point I made, intuition. We just call it intuition. You feel, no. You ever talk to your grandmother? Granny, what do you think about so-and-so? And Granny said, it don't feel right. You ask for a cognitive and they give you an intuitive and an affective answer.
Yeah.
And most time, Granny right. If it not feel right, no go down there. What do I say in Jamaica? Spirit tech. You meet somebody in spirit, not take them at all.
Yeah, that's true.
So trust it, because the mind is picking up on all kinds of other cues that sometimes your conscious mind is ignoring them. But he's from a very good family, He came well recommended, and da. But there's something else happening, and the subconscious is telling you other things.
That's what happens
to your peril. But Diana, work with the visions.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions or thoughts to share? Okay, go ahead, Claudette. Please unmute your mic.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Hi, Claudette here from Detroit, Michigan. Dr. Samaj, this is my very first seminar with you. And we've talked over the years. And this is the longest I've ever listened to any material with any religious references. I typically do not. but you have a way of
Correction.
contextualizing.
Excuse
You
me,
have a way of-
correction.
Yes?
Spiritual, not religious. Religious is an agreement to behave in a certain manner. This was not about religion, it's about spirituality.
Okay, I can dig that. But I've listened to you in other contexts, particularly on radio. And as I said to you this morning, I'm going to tell everybody, this gentleman, this kind soul, this human being, he himself during the pandemic has expressed a soulful humility that many of us were lucky to even hear on the radio. And you matter every day, Dr. Samaj, and I will keep telling you that. You talk too much good stuff on the radio. And if I could give you a dime for every presentation you had, you would be a wealthy man. If all of us gave him a dime, I urge all of you, take it on, wire him something, because this does not come for free. And he lives with the experience of humility, the experience of his living years we're blessed to have. And I just wish I could spend more time with you, but I have you handsomely recorded on several occasions just to keep your wisdom with me. And also somebody asked me today, can they obtain or access this particular webinar? Because they're in another meeting in Florida, and she wanted to be able to listen to the material, view the material. So if you'll let us all know.
It will be posted online. It will be posted.
We're online.
Well, I'm sure it will be on the Global Spiritual Forum, and I'll post also on my platforms.
Okay, all right, I'll let her know, but thank you again, and I'm very, very grateful.
My pleasure. I just speak up from the chat. I see Horace is asking, good day, everyone. Very informative and thoughtful. Dr. Samaj, I often ask myself, why am I here? What's my purpose in life? How do I find that purpose? What are the guidelines which point in that direction to the answer? There are many times, that to me is what's most fundamental questions, because one of the things that from the time we start to go to school, parents and others start to push us into some direction or the other. But the guidance I offer to people, be what you are. Without to become anything, be what you are. Because just think of when you look at a great sculpture, that sculpture was already in the stone. It was already in the log. But then the craftsman the artist just took away the extraneous pieces to leave. So that if we listen to ourselves, if we look at ourselves, if we just get the cues from all around us in terms of what it is that we are. And you realize that you try something and the universe says, no, it's not that, You try, no, it's not that, You get nudges from the universe. One thing that I do as a psychologist, I help people now to do so by, first of all, start with your personality. What is things that come natural to you? What are the things that you would do without pay? But guess what? The rule of Dharma says, when you live your purpose, you will get paid handsomely, because you are now delivering to the world that which you're put here to deliver. Sometimes you do it by trial and error. Sometimes you do it by people giving you feedback. I know my Dharma is what I'm doing right now, to explain things to people, information, to share information, so people can become wiser, healthier, more affluent, become better human beings. My job is to do that. So with time, you figure it out, but be willing to experiment and sometimes be willing to let go, because you may become so wedded to something that somebody told you you should do and you could do. It is when you relax sometimes, but hold on, but I can do these other things too and still have a good life. Subtle, but listen and be willing to let go.
Okay. We can take another question or comment.
Just a comment. Fine. I've had the response. There's a little comment that says, "Listen with your heart."
Absolutely.
Is that really? Is it the inner person speaking? Is it compassion? Is it extending kindness, etc.?
I would say it's all of the above, because you see, we use the heart as a metaphor, but it's also more than that. Because if all you're listening with your ears, you will only hear a small fraction of what is being presented to you from the universe. But with your heart, you feel it, the nuances, the intonation. You hear the space between the notes. You hear the things that are not being said. You are much broader, more receptive. So yes, listening with your heart is much more. There's a wonderful word in Robert Heinlein book, Stranger in a Strange Land, grok. I recommend that science fiction writer, that book, grok. When you grok something, the closest to the word grok is the Rastafarian concept of overstand. Not understand, no, overstand. The fullness of what is being presented. You overstand. So when listen with your heart, you pick up what's being said, what's being not said, what is being implied, what is being bypassed, and the totality of all the energy and information, because that's all there is in the universe, energy and information. Different aspects of the bandwidth, different aspects, break it down. But when you can get the energy and the information, we can do a lot more with it. And the heart, you know, I remind people many times who are into praying these loud and vociferous prayers and so on and so on. I said this one, folks, God not deaf. And in fact, God listens to your heart, not your lips. With your lips, you're saying all kind of lying things, but heart can't lie. God listens to your heart, not your lips.
One question, if I may, before you wrap up.
Sure.
Dr. Samaj, really appreciate the words, but my question relates to all these words of wisdom. Children, a lot of children are going through now. A lot of children are exposed to this wisdom, and particularly in this country where we have so much violence and our children are missing out on education. Our education system is not what it's supposed to be. How do we get this kind of teaching to our children very early, rather than having to wait until they have gone through and step in a whole heap of pothole, you know, because they're missing out on their potential. So many of our children are dying without even knowing that they actually have a purpose. How do we get there?
You know, brilliant question. If you look at my own development, look, we have something called Sunday school and Sabbath school that provide a part of it. But remember, you know, a big part of education was also the values enabling components, not just the pedagogy. And I think we have left out the values enabling components of our educational process. Now, media could do an incredible job, but media in the Caribbean and many places have become a part of the problem, because media caters to the lowest common denominator. And when somebody says, I must be the devil's advocate, the devil don't need no advocate. The devil get free advertising, free publicity, free promotion, free everything. But if you want to put something on media of uplifting value, you have to pay for it. Now, give thanks that you see what we're doing here with this forum, that's free. By just putting things out in the universe and sharing with a few people, but then one will share with another and another and another. But we have a responsibility now to get to the children. So there will be some among us who have that gift, have that talent how we can now create songs, we can create children's books, we can create children's stories. We have to find a way now to get that through, because many, first of all, the parents, many have abdicated their responsibility and turned it over to the television, turned it over to the sports stars, turned it over to the music stars. So hopefully we will get back to basics, knowing that, listen, socializing the next generation is the single most important human activity. We can, and you're right, Jamaica is reaping the whirlwind now because of the ignorance, because of ignoring, shaping the children in that early stage, giving them something to live for.
Thank you. Thanks, Josie, for that question.
Sandra, can I make a recommendation? I think you can invite Dr. Vipula and Ranjan to bring their messages, and then if anybody wants to ask questions, we can formally close the webinar. And if Dr. Semaj has a few more minutes, and if you can keep the platform open, that would be good.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I just want to thank you for your questions, the comments, and the interaction. And at this point, I'm going to invite Mr. Ranjan De Silva and Dr. Vipula to speak on behalf of the GSF at this time. Mr. Ranjan De Silva, you want to go first?
Yeah, hi, give him 2 minutes. He's having a technical issue. He will join soon.
Okay, could we go to Dr. Vipula then in the meantime? Is Dr. Vipula on the call?
I don't think Vipul is there. Maybe I can speak on his behalf.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, basically, Vipula's job is to talk about the next webinar. We have arranged webinars every month, normally towards the end of the month. So the next one is the key. That's on the 11th of June. That's on psychology of meditation. I already announced it. So if any of you like to attend it, please do so. The speaker is a renowned psychologist, and he is a medical practitioner. And also a writer of many books, and it will be a very interesting webinar. So look forward to see you at the next webinar on the 11th of June. It's a Friday. It will be in the morning, Eastern time. And it will be promoted with posters, etc. By Vipula by next week.
We have Ranjan on the call now. So over to you.
Hi.
Hi, Ranjan. Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry I had to get interrupted. It was a very interesting talk at the beginning, but I'm looking forward to going through it again on the recorded version because transformation is core to my heart and my practice as well. And it was very interesting. So thank you so much, Semaj, for sharing that, and looking forward to watching the entire video. I would like to perhaps also speak a few words regarding membership because Chandi had given me the task of developing the membership of this group. For some reason, he thinks that I have some marketing abilities, which is not. It was, of course, in one of my past incarnations that I was a marketer. Now I have turned into a transformational catalyst. However, I invite all of you to join us if you are not already a member. But what we need is not quantity but quality. And the fact that you are here today shows that you got the quality, you got the mind and the heart to be here. So please join and also invite like-minded people into this forum so that we can explore, debate, reflect on spirituality from different perspectives so that we can make each one's souls much more richer. So that's my invitation. So please do be a part of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vipula. So personal transformation, the ultimate quest. I think we had an excellent presentation from Dr. Samaj. Your interaction was great. I was following the comments on the chat. I hope you're all following along, your questions, and most importantly, your time that you gave us this morning. I thank you again for joining, and I do invite you as well to join GSF next month for that next session. I am going to have the platform open for another few minutes. So although we're formally ending the session, I'm going to be here for a few minutes, Dr. Samaj as well. You know, if you want to continue the interaction, if you have any more questions and comments, you can just raise your hand or you can just type in the chat to everyone or directly to Dr. Samaj. Thank you. It was my pleasure to moderate the session today.
Thank you very much. It was great.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I can raise a question now, but this is for my friends who are not in the Jamaican scene. Someone raised a question about the business of, in the Jamaican context, the dysfunctional approaches to rearing children in our situation. And I wondered, for those of my friends who are from other countries, what's happening in your neck of the woods in terms of bringing up children.
Okay, anyone from outside of Jamaica who would like to take that? Claudette, you don't want to take a shot at it?
No. I have a question.
Oh, it's a question. Okay. Go ahead, Dr. Lewin.
Yeah, all these children all around the world are being raised incorrectly. It's just a matter of what kind of incorrectness they're being raised with, you know? Dr. Samaj, you know, he's a psychologist, he explained, and we know that in psychology, you have the id, the ego, and the superego. And the id is your basic drives, your superego is your conscience, and between the two, that develops the ego or the personality. But the superego is made of the home, the school, and the church. People don't go to church that much. The school doesn't really raise the kids, and the parents are really not home. So people are being socialized by the media and by their peer group, which is being socialized by the media. It's happening all over the world.
Yeah, and to add that, and you mentioned, you know, id, and a lot of modern culture is really giving unbridled support to id functions. If it feels good, do it. Don't inhibit yourself. And in fact, that's why one point I made, socializing the next generation is the single most important human task. So that if it's first, it's the parents' responsibility. Where they drop the ball, the school kicks in. But if the school is overburdened and can't do it, guess what? The next step is the police. So, you know, that's a strange dilemma we are. So once parents drop the ball and they don't do it, and we know in some places now the parents are getting younger and younger and having less time to do what so they now default. They leave the television, the cable, to raise the children, and the dysfunction is now multiplied.
What's happening more in the East, Sri Lanka, that side? How is child rearing happening? You know, with the culture being a little different.
Yeah, if you take the situation in Sri Lanka, of course, the same challenge of all over the world is with us as well. But one thing which is a little encouraging is that children continue to go to school. 92% of children school up to about the O levels, year 10 kind of level, so which is helpful. We also have a lot of religious schools. All religions like Buddhist has something called the Dhampasala, which has some religious education. There is also, Christians have their own Sunday school. So that helps to bring some consciousness. But again, it's very challenging with the internet era, with the devices, with the television. So it's a constant battle between the negative forces and the positive forces. And what I see is most important is to start inculcating values. And I think it has to start with teachers. I know it's somewhere in between, where that they got a lot of space into the children. And of course, parents. If we have a new generation coming up, because what the parents have gets translated to the children. So if the teachers are able to bring up children who are with the right values and consciousness, that will help at least the next generation to be raised out better. So we need to do a lot of work on parenting, on teaching, on leadership. And if we can connect it to purposefulness, Dr. Semaj talked about why are we in this world, and that's one of the questions I ask in my sessions. If we can help people to understand why, what is the big reason we are here, to be of service to this world using God-given talents, I think that's where we can start making that fundamental change. So it's all over, but I think we can't give up. We need to do something. Even a little drop in the ocean might start something.
Definitely. Philip, you have your hand raised. You can go ahead, Philip Rodden.
Sure, thanks. Just to add basically to what everyone was saying, there's an old adage, there's an old saying that it takes a village to raise a child. And raising a child of my own, you see it every day. One of the best things I think that happened out of the pandemic was the fact that we actually had to spend more time with our children. And I had problems with my son over and over. It's like, what was it this week? It was like every week was we had gone to school, or your son did this, or your son did that, and so on. And just that time, 1 year, where he had to interact just with us, we started seeing our values taking hold on him, because it wasn't the case where we were telling him one thing, but the people who he spent most time with, the students, the other children in class, those on the bus, everywhere, kids in the building where he lived, he could see that what we say is what we do. So he could actually realize that, hey, there is something to this. No, he's going to go back to school. No, the only thing that we can hope is that during that time, what we inculcated on him will stay there. And as we said, it takes a village to raise a child. And the point I wanted to make with it is this. Raised in Jamaica, by the way. Remember, one of the time I get one of the biggest beating of my life was because
you're in Colombia now, right?
Yeah, I'm in Colombia right now. And it's the same thing here, believe it or not. I was picking somebody mango. I never going to the people them yet. I was out on the street.
Thief.
And them see me had soldier climb. Don't know any way. Pick up one stick. I bust way all the way ass. I will learn to realize that this is not socially acceptable for you. There's a way to do it and so on. And that keep in your mind. And as Dr. Semaj mentioned before, that it's a problem for you. No. So people will say, don't let me picnic. Don't touch my picnic. Don't start to my picnic on the field. Me take care of it. But then you realize it is your problem until the child reaches 18. Then it becomes society's problem. And if you don't fix the problem before it becomes society's problem, then it won't be the neighbor who are backsliding later on. They're going to be the police. And then you have no say in it. So I think that's something that we need to start from the foundation, where it's us first, where it's the aunts, it's the brothers, it's the sisters, it's everybody. You need to respect people's property. You need to talk to people in a certain way and so on. Because if we don't, then in time, the problem is going to be somebody else's problem, and then it's going to be too late.
I recently posted a short article called the law of parenting. And in this law, I articulate that if you are so fortunate as to participate in the process of immortality, that's what having children is about. It is your responsibility to feed, clothe, shelter, educate, and positively socialize that human being for at least the next 18 years, irrespective of breakup, divorce, or death. It's your responsibility. And when parents drop the ball, the overburdened school system can only do but so much, then it becomes a police problem. So yeah, we're seeing it all over. I remember when I was research fellow in child development many years ago, there's a very important book that influenced me. And the title of the book was School Can Wait. And if you Google that title, what they were proposing, that sending a child to school before age 10 is quite dangerous. That up until 10, the most important thing being formulated is values and attitudes. And as Philip pointed out, having a child at home for the year, you have a lot more impact. When my children were young, part of my role was transportation officer. I drove children to school and picked them up after school. Very important function. I heard their wishes and aspirations and their dreams every day. And there's a ritual. When a song came on the radio, they knew what certain kind of songs were to change the station right away or turn off, because daddy said that can't play. I explained to my children that I am the program director of my home. Program director in charge of radio and television and video and everything. I have to give agreement for it to be played. Now, yes, you can go elsewhere and hear it, but you'll know the framework. My daddy said that can't play. The biggest problem is that we have children who there's nobody in their life to tell them a little word called no. In psychology, we have a thing called opposition defiance disorder. Opposition defiance disorder. Largely among boys, it starts in the teenage years, and most people in prison have a serious problem with opposition defiance disorder because they cannot take objection from anyone because they have never been harnessed and socialized to hear, no, you can't do that. That's not the way we do it. So it's a long road ahead of us, folks, and it's going to get even more rocky.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the extra time, Dr. Samaj. Thank you for the additional comments and feedback. And I want to wish everyone a great weekend. Those who are in the US, you have a holiday coming up on Monday, so enjoy the long weekend. Have a great Memorial Day. And again, it was our pleasure hosting the session today. And thank you, Samantha, for all your work in the background. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It was excellent. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. COVID still a keep. Stay safe.
All the best.
All the best.